In the early times, before Taoism, Buddhism, and Confucianism, bodily conditioning played a more important role in Chinese society than later times. Wrestling, boxing, football, archery, military purposes, polo hunting, fishing, swimming, flying kites, and light exercises, and kung fu. Little is known how they taught motor skills probably learned by doing by the following example of their elders. The overall aim of PE was to develop the minds of actions every citizen was a shoulder and physical fitness was a necessity.
And Wu Qingxi, five animal play of the Han Dynasty.
It also makes clear that the PE forms an integral part of the student's education, that educational administrations and institutions of all levels should regard PE as a priority of their works, and take it and students' health as an items of their performance assessment. Dances represents the best and culture of China. It is an ancient process where giving thanks to God, Buddha, showing great power of how the nations was built on the stabilized with more generations come. Physical Education CAR program. BAC Indian program uses the power of exclusive physical education to progress manner for children who possess all abilities. The skills are based on agility, balance and coordination, speed and strength, action and sport to develop fundamental skills. Development of sports in India, tradition of sports and physical fitness, recognition to the importance of sports. A separate department was set up in 1982, prior to the commencement of Ninth Asian Games. Subsequently, the first ever national sports policy was announced in 1984. Activities of yoga and karate, and considered to be new in origin, but they have their origins in ancient days also.
लाघवं कर्म सामर्थ्यम् दीप्तोऽग्निर्मेधसक्षयः विभक्तन् भवगात्रत्वम् मलखाम्बात् उपजायते। मलखाम्बात् उपजायते। मलखाम्बात् उपजायते। मलखाम्बात् उपजायते।
The origin of Mallakhambh can be traced back to the 12th century. The earliest reference to it is found in Manasulhas, the ancient scripture. Though neglected in the ensuing period,
There are always a tradition of physical activities with minimum use of equipments. Earlier also, physical activities were organized in open places and no special kind of equipments were being used. Each dance symbolizes the abundance of cultures and the hidden aspect of how the ancient ancestors created that participated with various activities, dances, and one of the highlights that represents the idea of the country, who and what it is. The body was accorded equal dignity with the mind. Sports are associated with philosophy, music, literature, painting, and particularly with sculpture. Then on development disciplines, kura, humility, determination, and sportsmanship through physical education and emphasize place and character formation than development of gymnastic was done in palestra, a building with rooms and various physical activities controlled by the Padre tribe of Prioritor, no called physical educationists through Olen and southern their body.
8. Kabaddi. If you can imagine trying to wrestle 7 people while holding your breath, then you can get a feel for what Kabaddi is all about. As one of the oldest sports in southern Asia, Kabaddi is essentially a giant wrestling match between 2 teams. The twist, however, is that only one member of each team can cross into the other team's territory at a time, and while doing so, he or she must refrain from breathing. 7. Basque Pelota. Closely related to tennis, this very old game has sometimes been referred to as the fastest sport in the world. Ball speeds could reach up to 200 miles an hour. 6. Bullfighting. One of the few blood sports that are still actively sanctioned by modern Western governments, this man vs. beast showdown can trace its roots all the way back to ancient Rome. 5. Muay Thai. Although today it's practiced around the world, this lethal martial art was born on the ancient battlefields of what is today known as Thailand. Commonly referred to as the art of the 8 limbs, practitioners use not just their feet and hands, but their elbows and knees as well. 4. Buzkashi. The national sport of Afghanistan, this game involves a number of mounted players fighting over the carcass of a headless goat, after which each player tries to pitch it across a goal line. 3. Spartan Games. Spartans hated sports. They thought sports were for sissies. In fact, Tyrtaeus, the great Spartan war poet, wrote about how unimpressive athletic achievement was. According to him, a man is not good in warfare unless he dares look upon bloody slaughter. To a Spartan, if you aren't good in warfare, then you aren't worth the air you breathe. For this reason, most of the Spartan competitions were mind-bogglingly brutal. 2. Viking skin pulling. Essentially one big game of tug-of-war, the Vikings preferred using.
The ancient monarch of Egypt is the oldest and the first civilization who stabilized the builder of sports and physical activities that representing the offer to the new gods of early kingdom arise. The dance of Cleopatra is the first physical activity that shown how courageous early Egyptians made their version of dances, a kind of body movement that combined with instrumental music produced by the thing's availability in the surrounding. But in the time of rising new era, the dances was developed and enhanced with participation of Egyptian people. The was offered to the Pharaoh, the gods of Old Kingdom era. Athletic accomplishment was especially important to the Persians who enjoyed archery, boxing, fencing, horsemanship, hunting, polo, javelin throwing, swimming, and wrestling. In the leisure time was not participating in watching sports events, Persians enjoyed board games banquet. Among many inventions of the Persians were board games, backgammon, and chess. Although the Persians' origin, the chess has been repeatedly challenged. They are also invented the musical instrument, the known as guitar. The satyr's precursor of the modern day guitar as development of art, mime because mime could tell a story in any of the subject nations without worrying about language barrier.
By the Chalukyas and the Mughal rulers too. The Chandalas, on the other hand, were known to play with iron balls and bamboo poles. The latter sounds a probable precursor of hockey, doesn't it? In Buddhist literature, we find some very specific names and techniques of certain outdoor games. These include the Pariharapatha, that was something like the modern day hopscotch, the Shantika, that needed one to collect and arrange pebbles with one's foot, Ghatika, that can be compared to the modern day Gilli Danda, Akka, the game of marbles, and Mokhachika or gymnastics. Other games mentioned are the Bharashram or weightlifting, the Bharmanashram, and a curious form of wrestling called the Mallastamba, which involved the opponents fighting while being mounted on the other person's shoulders. Today, such acrobatics may be seen in the native sport of Mallakham or pole gymnastics.
Cyrus' belief in the importance of accepting and embracing others fostered a culture founded on recognition and appreciation for different beliefs, customs, and values. Persian culture spread to other regions and then through trade along routes such as the Silk Road toward the West. From the ancient times to the present day, in fact, Persian culture's inventions and innovations have continued to inform the lives of people around the world.
Old and have been performed by Jews in the region for almost as long. The synagogue in Yusufabad is one of the more than 20 working synagogues in Iran's capital. Tehran is the center of Jewish life in Iran, housing a deeply traditional and religious community. After the Islamic Revolution in 1979, its number decreased significantly, but with almost 9,000 members left all over the country, it's still the biggest Jewish parish all over the Middle East, outside of Israel, and its number is growing. Jewish life in a country under Sharia law, with cartoon competitions promoting Holocaust denial. The prayer continues, but I leave this synagogue to find out more about this apparent contradiction and learn